Hey, Jermaine Griggs here, and if you want to know the missing ingredients that separates high achievers that get a massive amount of things done from those who just miss tons of opportunities, tune in to today's edition of Automation Mondays. Hello, Jermaine Griggs here, founder of AutomationClinic.com, and welcome back to another edition of Automation Mondays, where every single week I take a topic, a question, an issue, or philosophy related to marketing, sales, lead generation, conversion, funnels, systems, and ultimately automation, and I break it down step by step. And in this week's episode, I want to talk about this single ingredient or the single thing that I believe separates high achievers who get a massive amounts of things done and implemented and take action on their ideas from those who may be good at consuming content or watching and consuming podcasts and being on webinars, but never getting nearly as much done as my top players. And that concept is speed of implementation. I truly believe that success is attracted to speed. And to the extent that you can get things done, you can hear a concept or theory related to your existing objectives and put it in its category and then execute on it either yourself or having the team set up to outsource, delegate, relegate, what have you, to get it done, and you will succeed exponentially faster and farther than those who don't. So that's my concept for today's Automation Mondays is speed of implementation, right? Because I'm not just about knowledge, right? I know a lot of people say you got to get knowledge, and you really do, right? I'm a big reader. My library is probably 2,000 books at this point. I try to read a book a week. But knowledge alone is not enough, right? You've got to have applied knowledge. And in a future episode, I'm going to talk about Bloom's taxonomy and kind of this hierarchy of learning and what the highest level of learning is. But speed of implementation is about taking knowledge, and we don't have a lack of knowledge on the internet, right? You can tune into whomever's YouTube, podcast, blog. There are business journals, Harvard Review journals. There's no lack of information and data out there. But what I find is there's lack of speed of implementation. And as an automator, I put out a 26-page report, and I talked about outsourcing and delegating anything that anyone else can do equal or better. And as I look at my career and my ability to have speed of implementation, it's come down to this. I've had skills, right, in certain areas that I didn't have to rely certainly on other people to get things done. So it's kind of like this, and here I am, the automator, the outsourcer guy, telling you that some things are worth learning how to do yourself. And so when people come to me and they say, can I just outsource that? And my argument to them is, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to copywriting, even when it comes to some basic understanding of websites and web pages, I'm of the mind, and I know that this philosophy, there'll be different points of views and schools of thoughts. But when I look back at my career, my ability to personally put up a website, edit my WordPress, change my headlines, test my different angles and benefits, and not to be at the sort of dependency of some outside firm has been incredibly helpful for me. And I know a lot of people listening here, a lot of people that just simply don't have that skill. So when it comes to speed of implementation, if you're on a webinar hearing headlines are the biggest determinant of whether someone reads your copy or continues to stay on your webinar or even registers for your webinar or what have you, and yet you don't have the ability to quickly implement and the ability to test different headlines. If you have to wait for this service over here to change one little thing about your website and then you don't know how to install the code and things like that. So I'm of the mind that there is this sort of balance. There is this like level of skill set that if you're going to be an internet entrepreneur, I advocate for learning a little bit about WordPress, learning a little bit about just the essential web designs. Now, Brendan Burchard, who I know, and I've watched him just grow over the years, now to the point where he's hanging out with Oprah and Tony Robbins, to an entrepreneur that is tapped into that realm, that's like a dream come true. And Brendan Burchard on his broadcast will tell you himself that even now, he knows how to go in and change his website. And even up until this point, he was the main one creating his websites, changing his videos and things like that. Now, video editing and some things like that, like transcribing and keeping up with customer service and your help desk and even email management, those are things that you should be quick to outsource and delegate to people who can do it equally or better. Or if you have a dedicated web person that's just really fast and you can get on demand when you've got ideas to drop what they're doing and do it for you and they're in-house, that's another story. But if you don't have that, the ability to be able to implement fast is an incredible asset, and that takes skills. So, it's still Pareto principle, right? So you got 80-20. And I've always said you got to figure out what are the vital 20% of things that you should be focusing on. And here are mine, right? So my vital 20%, anything related to marketing, anything related to getting a conversion. So under that would be copywriting. I don't mind investing a lot of time and personal energy in constantly improving my copywriting. Not my penmanship, I'm not a writer like that, but my creative writing, my persuasive writing skills, my argumentative writing skills. Because sales are about overcoming objections, almost like a lawyer. There are objections that you have to overcome one by one. As you overcome them, you lower the buyer resistance and cognitive dissonance that exists. Right? Let's just say on the internet, you start at -10. They don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you. The internet can be a scary place for a consumer. So you start negative, but over time, you overcome that resistance. And that's what copywriting teaches you how to do systematically, persuasively, and really it's about understanding human behavior and psychology. So I am going to invest time when I'm reading, when I'm in bed at night, before I go to sleep, on books that relate to copywriting, books that relate to the marketing framework and funnel. I personally am going to invest time in things that allow me to take my sales tools and implement them on the web quicker than I can outsource them away. Now, I've gotten to the point where I do have other players that I can give certain things, but believe you me, as my grandma might say, when it's a money step and it's something very important to me or a launch, I will take that page, that video, I will take that process on myself because I have the skills to do so and I'm for the speed of implementation. So anything having to do with website, I won't say design because I'll still outsource sort of the design. I am not a designer, but basic functionality, if you will. And that's coming from a guy who's been on the internet 16 years. So when I started, August 6, 2000, I was in my grandma's one-bedroom apartment. Maybe you've heard the story. I registered the domain name hearandplay.com, online music education website, with $70 with Network Solutions. I was on a 28.8 modem connection. This is my senior year of high school before I would go to the University of California, Irvine, where we had a T1 Ethernet connection. I was in heaven at that point. But up until then, I had to rely on 28.8, AOL, dialing up, getting the busy signal, dialing up a second, third time, finally getting in. You've got mail, all of that. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I had to learn how to use Microsoft Front Page 2000. And that's where you literally had to, there was no navigation, there was no, taxonomies for this and easy ways to do things. WordPress would come along a little bit later. You literally had to manage every single page. You had to learn how to source images in HTML and then upload through a file protocol, whatever the T stands for, FTP, and then file transfer protocol. And you have to do everything manually. So I've been there. I know the struggle. And then WordPress comes along and gives us a content management system that now brings all these pages together. You delete a page, it's gone from your navigation. You add it back and you can categorize things. We're in heaven now. Now we've got WordPress plugins. We've got website builders. We've got silos, standalone services like Lead Pages and Kajabi and all of these platforms that make speed of implementation so easy. It's almost easier to go log into Lead Pages or your WordPress plugin. What do we use over there? Thrive Content Builder. I'm a big fan of that. Or Optimize Press or any of the website plugin or website builders. And now it's almost easier to do that, like log in and literally click on your headline, change it, launch an A/B split test, than to email someone to do it. So sometimes, when I'm chilling with a buddy or something that I know is into internet marketing and they're bragging about outsourcing, and I'm saying, how long did it take you to write that email? And so, it took me 30 minutes to write something for someone else to do something that would have taken me 5 minutes. So there is this like balance that on one end, I have friends in high places that, would never think about changing a headline, but they're also paying a company $80,000 a month on retainer. That to me, and I respect them, but I think that's just a waste God bless the people that are getting the $80,000 from these companies, just to do basic management and things like that. But hey, if there's a market and there's a desire for it, you can't blame them for going after it. But I want to be in a position, or my team, to have that type of speed of implementation. Now, content creation. Sure, there was a time where I would record it, just like I'm doing now. I would edit it because of lack of resources, and I just wanted to keep that stuff in-house. But I got my skills to the point where I could edit it in the same evening and it'd be out. And I just thought of, if I wasn't sitting here editing it, I'd probably be watching something on TV or on demand. So I just saw that time as, hey, I'm getting it done, speed of implementation. Now, we've got Cesar, we've got production. I can record it. My job here is done, and then we give it to the team to put up. But still, the same speed of implementation. So I want to encourage you with this video is, what are some bottlenecks? If you study theory of constraints, are you a bottleneck? Or what in your process right now seems to slow down your momentum? What in your process seems to thwart your growth? Do you have things, whether it's you learning some basic skills just to move the needle, or having those people in place, whether you have to outsource globally? We're in a global marketplace with sites like freelancer.com and Upwork. How can you get your things systematized? For example, whenever I do anything in Camtasia, I've got a system. I record it, then I take the cam record file, that's the recording file, and I put it in a Dropbox where my virtual assistant in the Philippines is notified, right, of that new file. They open that file in their local Camtasia on their computer. They edit it, take out any bloopers, and then they export the MP4 on our server and then email my team here in the States back. And then we get that up and out. Something like that. Speed of implementation. And sometimes it takes installing systems. And if you've watched past episodes, you know that my definition of a system is something you stick to emphatically and methodically, and then, the S doesn't count here. So that I will spend my time on. So that 30-minute email, well, I'll spend 30 minutes installing a system, figuring out who pushes to whom, and then what services are we going to use to notify that next person in the system, and then where's it going to go from there? And I'll spend time investing in that because, that'll be something that improves our speed of implementation. As you're learning stuff, right? This is what I've learned. The sooner I can make it either my responsibility, which doesn't seem to be the case most of the time now, or someone else's responsibility as soon as possible from learning or discovering the concept or strategy, the more likely it will be implemented, right? The brain is really crazy. When you're in something, like I'm inundated in a book and I'm really enjoying it and taking notes, you would think that you would never forget it in that moment because, you're into it and I can't never forget that. And then a week later, what was that? Somebody asked you, what was the last book you read? And I tell them the title. What was that about? What was that book about? But in the moment, I knew it. I could preach it and teach it, right? That's how the brain works. So you have to get it out of here and you've got to get it into a form, not only just taking notes, that's not enough. You got to make it somebody's responsibility. You got to make it somebody's responsibility. And if you've got virtual assistant things, hey, watch this, take these notes, take this Evernote that I took here and make this happen. Even if incomplete, when it comes back to you, and it could be a mess, whatever you're asking to be implemented, but it's an action. And Newton taught us something in motion will tend to stay in motion unless interacted or interrupted by an outside force. So that's what I mean by speed of implementation. Good, right, or done is better than perfect, right? So you get it in motion, it can always be made better. But if it's just an idea that then goes to fall by the wayside and never to be revisited again, then it's of no value to you. So in this Automation Monday, I just wanted to encourage you, just want to remind many of you of speed of implementation and what can you do. What on your end, some skills just need to be developed so that you can just hammer them out. And there are some things like marketing and copywriting and certain basic website functionality so you can just test yourself. I am a marketer. I'm CMO. If you ask me what C-suite title I'd take on if we were super corporate-y, it'd be CMO. I can't profess to be the best CEO, but I'd take CMO. And anything dealing with marketing, anything dealing with my communications, anything dealing with persuasion, anything dealing with money exchanging hands, commerce, I'm going to develop the skills to do it. Or I'm going to have somebody very, very close and on call, on demand, very quickly to turn it around for me when I make it their responsibility. So this has been Automation Mondays. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you enjoy this, head over to automationmondays.com. See some of my past episodes. Click over to my YouTube channel. Subscribe over there so you can be the first to know when we release new videos. Check out our podcast, check out our social media pages, and get connected. So I'm Jermaine Griggs on behalf of Automation Clinic signing off. Remember, let your business run itself. See you next time.